You might have to have one more yet, John. But we don't know.
I think we'll be good.
Okay, welcome to our council meeting of August the 23rd, and thanks for joining us live. Today I want to read the Indigenous Land Acknowledgement. As the City of Winkler, we acknowledge that we are situated on Treaty 1 land, home of the Anishinaabe, Cree, Oji-Cree, Dakota, and Dene peoples, homeland of the Métis Nation. We respect the treaties that have been made on these territories. We acknowledge the harms and mistakes of the past, and we dedicate ourselves to the future based on respect of all people, including the Indigenous communities, in a spirit of reconciliation and collaboration, moving forward to a harmonious, prosperous future together. Therefore, be it resolved that the agenda of the regular council meeting of August 23rd, 2022 be adopted. Mover?
Henry Siemens.
Seconder?
Marvin Platt.
All in favor? That is carried. Be it resolved that the minutes of the regular council meeting of August the 9th, 2022 be adopted. Mover?
John.
And a seconder?
Michael.
Any questions regarding the minutes? Any errors or omissions? Seeing none, all in favor? And that is carried. A note there in regards to the Municipal Service Delivery Improvement Program and correspondence. And I know the application is voluntary. I think we had talked about it earlier that we wanted to voluntarily participate. Is that still a plan, Jody, or?
The last time when we went through planning committee, I believe there wasn't a consensus to participate, but if that is what council would like, we can definitely take a look at that.
Well, is there any particular reason why we wouldn't, or?
I think the key would be how much our staff time is also going to be needed
Right.
in having a fairly strained resources already.
Yeah.
If in fact the time from staff is minimal, obviously anything we can use to improve service makes a whole bunch of sense. But if there's significant involvement, Jody, from yourself or other leaders in the organization who maybe don't have time to give, that would be one thing that probably we'd want to consider.
I will check in and get back to you then early next week. I'd prefer to wait till Scott is back so that he can speak on behalf of his department as well.
Good.
But would it necessarily need to be done right away, or could it be done later? I realize that the application for second intake is now open till September the 5th.
Yep.
If we would apply, and that doesn't mean that we have to do it now when we're busy. It may well be able to be done in middle of November or the middle of January.
We'll check the time frame. Yeah.
Okay, so I would think that the next council should definitely have a review.
You'll know before then.
We carry on. All right. Thank you. Be it resolved that the accounts payable in the amount of $1,505,222.85 as approved by the Finance Committee be approved for payment. Mover?
Henry Siemens.
Seconder?
Andrew?
Thank you. You see the check register. Any questions there? As we can see, there's a lot of capital projects, and including streets and roads and whatever that's included in there, so those bills will continue to come. All right, if we have no questions, all in favor? And that is carried. Whereas the 2021 audited consolidated financial statements have been prepared and presented by GTP, now therefore be it resolved that council for the City of Winkler table the 2021 audited consolidated financial statements as presented. Mover?
Henry Siemens.
Seconder?
Andrew?
Any questions in regards to the audited financials?
Why are we tabling them?
Yes, we are.
That is the language that the
Oh,
province
okay.
requires, yeah.
So it's not like we're delaying it, we're
That's-
approving
No,
it.
we're
Right.
approving it,
Okay. That's weird
the,
language then.
this is, my understanding is David is going to scan it and make it public.
Okay.
That's right.
So I think that's why we need to do this now.
I would also like to thank GTP for their years of service to that and preparing those financial statements. I understand that their plan is to leave the municipal auditing business, and we'll have to find somebody else. So I'd like to thank GTP's service and the work that they've done for us every year.
Absolutely. It's
Mhm.
been, it's been, some days it's been challenging, but they have come through and appreciate that, very professional, and
Absolutely.
to be able to accommodate us has been great. I would be very sorry to see it go out of the region, but we may not have any choice but to do it that way, so just thought I would make that note.
You
All-
know,
sorry.
some of our other municipal organizations, do you know who they are using?
Yeah,
Like,
there's a
Yeah,
firm in
we've checked
Winnipeg,
with a
right?
number of them already.
So that none local, nothing local available. Wow.
No.
It's
It
really-
takes a lot of time, very dedicated accounting people to be able to do that, so.
Yeah. So we're
Alright.
checking with some of the other municipalities to see who they're using, and then we'll go, and,
Go with that.
yeah.
Would it be worthwhile to check with AMM as well to see if they have any recommendations?
We're checking with, the MMA, like with.
Oh,
the-
okay, yeah,
Okay,
that's
yeah.
appropriate.
That's
Yep.
Good.
All right, all in favor? And that is carried. Be it resolved that the Boundary Trails Health Center Foundation minutes for June the 27th, 2022 meeting be received for information. Mover,
Marvin,
seconder?
Michael?
Thank you. Any questions regarding that? Our new city rep, I think we announced that the last time already, was Bernie Thiessen. So he'll be joining that team. All right, all in favor? And that is carried. Be it resolved that the MSTW Planning District reports for July 2022 be received for information. Mover? Seconder?
Andrew?
Any questions or comments regarding those reports? Hearing none, all in favor? And that is carried. Be it resolved that the Winkler Arts and Culture budget for July 2022 be received for information. Mover?
Michael?
Seconder?
I can help?
Thanks, Marvin. Any questions or comments regarding their budget? I guess a question that I would have is, we've had a lot of opportunities for grant applications, which include culture, arts and culture. And just curious if anybody knows if they are on top of it and that they will be applying for some of those grants that are available.
They are, they've been on it more so lately, having some consistent employees, like since Jennifer left, there was that transition. So
Right.
I think Gwen has been fairly regular, maybe Jennifer, yeah, Gwen's been fairly consistent with trying to access as many grants as she can.
Yeah, yeah, as long as the applications are being made rather than just simply sitting back and say the city has to do everything for
Right,
them,
yeah.
so. Okay, awesome. All in favor? And that is carried. Be it resolved, this meeting of council recess for the purpose of holding public hearings. Mover?
Henry Siemens?
Seconder?
Marvin?
All in favor? Carried.
And I will ask to be
To be
excused based on a
excused, all right.
perceived conflict of interest.
Okay, Jody, we'll let you lead this one.
So we have a public hearing today for a rezoning application and bylaw 2288-22. And just to clarify, we also have subdivision on the agenda as well, which is the same development as for the rezoning. But just to be clear, the public hearing is only for the rezoning. So the rezoning is for the area that's described in the public notice. And just to put it in common terms, it's immediately to the west of the Rosenort Credit Union Building on Boundary Trails, the access road along Highway 14. So we are rezoning from DR and CG to CG, hang on. Is that right, Steph?
It's currently DR and CH.
CH, and going to commercial general
And DR.
and DR. Okay, so that's the rezoning there. And there's a drawing showing the land as well. So we have received one written objection from Arnold Cool, and you guys have that letter. It was attached to your agenda. The primary objection was to an easement that was initially thought to be required by staff. Looking into it further, they discovered that this would be an easement running along the east end of the property, north and south. And upon further research, we realized that there was no easement that would be required there. So there were a few other, I would call them more minor objections in regards to noise, garbage, and privacy stuff. Yeah. Those all, so we met with Arnold Cool this morning, and upon explaining the removal of the easement requirement and answering the other questions, he removed his objection to the application here.
Okay, there's no other concerns expressed?
No, none,
No?
other than what you're, we have some items that were mentioned in the report to council by our staff. But their recommendation is to approve subject to the development agreement.
And John, you're aware of those, that report indicating some of the issues that are there?
Yeah, I guess work was up on that
Okay.
document, right?
Yep.
That's where it was at.
Yep. Yeah, he said your work was out in the development agreement.
Yeah.
Yep.
One of the things that was mentioned is a privacy fence, and the suggestion here was to have this in the development agreement for this rezoning, but that it would only really need to be built when that next lot gets developed, unless you so choose otherwise. But ultimately, it is already a part of our zoning bylaw when a commercial development would take place adjacent to a lot with residential use. Even though it's not zoned residential, it is residential use. So ultimately, the fence would be required either way.
So I would just like to add in, as in a lot of different cases where time lapses and then you forget what we intended in the first place, that it be clearly noted that it would be the developer's responsibility for the fence, not when the residential development takes place, that it would be their responsibility. I think that was the request.
The request would be when the second lot is developed,
Right,
that the fence be put in at that
Right.
time.
but at the expense of the developer, not at the expense
Correct.
of the residential
That's correct.
owner.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if we put it in the development agreement, that helps
Yeah.
so that it doesn't get left behind.
As long as it's clear in the minutes that we noted that. Yes.
Would you mind stepping up?
So just in case
Sorry.
that goes the other way, that the other property would be developed first, and they would be required to do the fence?
Not from what I
Uh,
understood.
If they developed into commercial, Steph, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but if they developed commercial, then not necessarily that a fence would be required.
Okay,
Just if it's residential.
Yeah.
okay, yeah, no, that clarifies it. That's good.
Okay, thank you, John. All right, no other questions?
I would just note that in this piece, it would be nice if we were able to share with the objector that decision, so they also have a track record of it. They don't have to try to chase us for the minutes. But we send a note to them
Yes.
saying this was the
Right.
decision.
Yeah.
So at some point in time in the future, if and when it happens,
Absolutely.
it allows them to also come back to us
I
and
see Steph is already noting your,
There you go.
hold our feet to the fire.
Yeah. Yeah, and obviously one letter, just CC is all you need. and
Exactly.
Just so both parties are on the same page.
Agreed.
Super. All right, thank you. Therefore be it resolved, this public hearing for bylaw number 2288-22 to rezone 631 PTH 14 be closed. Mover,
Michael?
seconder?
Marvin?
Thank you. All in favor? And that's carried. Did you call, oh no, Andrew can't come in yet, okay. The next one, be it resolved that bylaw number 2288-22, rezone 631 and 701 PDH 14 be given second reading. Mover? Seconder?
Michael?
Thank you. All in favor? That's carried. Be it resolved that bylaw 2288-22, rezone 631 and 701 PTH be given third reading, subject to the development agreement and subject to the approval of subdivision 4463-22-8225. Terms and condition of the required development agreement will be in accordance with the recommendations made in the city's report to council. Mover?
Henry Siemens?
Seconder? Thank you. All in favor? That is carried. Be it resolved that public hearings be adjourned and regular council meeting reconvene. Mover?
Marvin?
Seconder?
Michael?
All in favor? That is carried. Be it resolved that subdivision 4463-22-8225 be approved, subject to rezoning and development agreement. Terms and conditions of the required development agreement will be in accordance with the recommendations made in the city's report to council. Mover?
Henry Siemens?
Seconder? Any further questions regarding this? Hearing none, all in favor? And that is carried. Okay, I think that covers all of those. There are no additions? There's no other business? Questions from the media?
We have a variation, do we not?
Well, I was just looking at this variation order.
That's just your
Yeah.
guys.
That's a
Yeah.
part of the rest of it.
Okay.
Yep.
We
Yeah,
can
no,
invite,
there's no other 13 point anything there, so.
Nope. I guess we can invite Andrew back for adjournment?
For the adjournment? Well, we'll just carry on. Be it resolved, this meeting of council be adjourned. Mover?
Just wait till Andrew gets back.
Oh, I don't know if he'd object anyway, so,
He would?
no. We are just, I just put it forward.
Don?
Somebody move?
Yes.
Don? Seconder? Andrew?
Andrew
Andrew,
second.
you're moving, we adjourn, just to making sure that we know that you're here. All in favor? And that's carried.